Good day, learners. Welcome back to Hospitality Studies. My name is Mpume Zulu, and today we are going to continue from our previous lesson on wine. Last time, we looked at the classifications of wine. We paired each wine with food. We looked at the regulations for selling the wine as well as serving wine. Today we'll continue and we'll focus on non-alcoholic beverages, where we are going to touch on the types of non-alcoholic beverages, the serving of each non-alcoholic beverage, as well as the administration and the beverage control of all types of beverages. Non-alcoholic beverages can be drunk on their own or they can be combined to make interesting drinks. They include water, squashes, cordials, fruit juices, syrups, iced teas, non-alcoholic wines, beers, and cocktails. Mineral water, you can have an option of having it still or sparkling. It is water that is derived from a natural spring that contains natural minerals found in the soil. Some mineral water can be flavored. It is up to you, up to your own preference. And it is always served chilled, which means it must be cold. It is always advisable not to serve ice with mineral water to a guest unless a guest requests it. Because when you add ice, it means that you are adding tap water to the mineral water when the ice melts. Aerated waters as well as soft drinks. These are infused with carbon dioxide, which means they have got bubbles and they are flavored. They are usually used in mixers, especially if you are ordering a spirit, a guest will ask for a mixer, which can be, for example, our soda waters, ginger ales, dry lemons, and then you have our soft drinks, which are your ginger beers, your cokes, your sprites, etc. Are squashes or cordials. These are made from fruit juices or syrups and they are prepared from sugar and water. They are quite thick, so they need to be diluted. They can be diluted with water, lemonade, or soda water, all depending on the guest's preference. Examples, as I've got a picture here, it is your lime cordial, your passion fruit, or your cola. Your fruit juices are sometimes freshly squeezed from the bar, where a barman will take fresh oranges and they will use a squeezer and you can get fresh orange juice or fresh grape juice from it. But most of the time, long life fruit juices are used and they can come in a form of boxes, cans, or it can be bottled. Some of these fruit juices have sugar and some have got no sugar. They can come with preservatives, colorants, as well as sweeteners. It is very important that once you've opened a can or a box or a bottle of these fruit juices, that you need to keep them in the fridge. Our syrups, these are thick, sweet, and sticky liquids that have got a high amounts of sugar, natural, and you can also have artificial flavorings as well as water. They are more expensive than your cordials and your squashes, and you would mostly use these syrups when you are making high-end cocktails. Cocktails are made from a variety of 2 or more drinks. These drinks can be alcoholic or they can be non-alcoholic. They are usually mixed or stirred together. Mocktails are the non-alcoholic version of cocktails, and they are sometimes referred to in restaurants as virgin cocktails. For example, you can take a Bloody Mary, which will contain your vodka, and without that alcohol component, the name changes and it becomes a Virgin Mary. So whenever you see the word virgin before a cocktail, you must know that it does not contain any alcohol. Other examples would be your Virgin Cosmopolitan, your Virgin Mojito, you've got your Shirley Temple, your iced coffee, etc. There are general rules that you need to adhere to when you are mixing cocktails. Cocktails can be shaken, stirred, blended, or they can be built. If a cocktail contains a liqueur or a wine, it should only be stirred using a stirring spoon. If it contains cream, fruit juice, or eggs, it must be shaken so that the different ingredients can be easily incorporated. It is important to note that you must never shake effervescent drinks. So if you have soda water or tonic water as a component in your cocktail that you do not shake it, you would opt for stirring it. All cocktails must be served in chilled glasses. Ice should be clear and clean. You need to place the ice in a glass or a mixer. Then you follow it by the non-alcoholic drink. And then if it is not a virgin mocktail or a virgin cocktail, you will then add alcohol. But it must be in that order. It is important to use good quality products because the mocktails or the cocktails come at a very high price. Following the recipe is very important, otherwise you will not get the most pleasant taste and the guests will not be pleased. Accurate measurements are important. Using a tot measure for measuring is very important, especially if you are making your build cocktail where each and every ingredient has an important factor or a role to play for it to have the different layers. It is important to not overfill the glasses. Adding the garnishes last is also very important. And you can also, on top of the garnishes, also decorate your cocktail or your mocktail with plastic straws and umbrellas. Let us look at the mixing methods that you can use when you are making a cocktail. Shaking and straining. This is where you have your cocktail shaker, and inside the cocktail shaker is a strainer, or you can also have the normal strainers that you would find in every household to strain into your glass. A cocktail strainer is used. The mixture is poured on top of the ice. It is shaken for 10 seconds and strained into the cocktail glass, as you can see from the illustration. Stirring is another mixing method. The mixture is stirred with ice in a mixing glass. Thereafter, it is strained into the cocktail glass. As you can see here, the stirring spoon is the long spoon. Blending. An electric beater or an electric blender is used. Fresh fruit or fresh juice is well mixed using this method, especially if you've got ingredients such as ice cream or you have your eggs. It is always best to use a blender so that the ingredients can be easily incorporated, and it can also have a pleasant appearance. Building, or if a cocktail is built, the ingredients are mixed in the glass. The ingredients are floated on top of each other, as you can see in the illustration here. A swizzle stick is placed in the glass to allow the ingredients to be mixed, and this will be to the guest it'll be to the guest preference, because you would serve it as it is built and then they can use a swivel stick. I will show you a swivel stick much later on into the lesson. There are other methods, or we can call them terms, and they can also be called sometimes techniques that you can use when you're making your cocktails or your mocktails. Frappe. This is when a drink is served with ice or the drink is frozen to a slushy consistency, almost like a sorbet. Frosting, this is when you coat the rim of the glass with sugar or salt. It can also refer to placing a glass into the freezer. A dash means that you're adding 10 drops, which is equivalent to 2.5 milliliters into your cocktail. A punch can also be alcoholic, and it can also be non-alcoholic, and it is basically a mixture of drinks, which can be components of fruits or fruit juice. It can be served hot or cold. A shot is usually 25 mils. You normally use the word shot if you are using the little shot glass when you are measuring the different ingredients when you are making your cocktail. Flip is a term that you use for a cocktail that contains an egg. It can either be a whole egg or it can be an egg yolk. Different equipment is used when you're making cocktails. Just like we've looked at the different mixing methods, when you're stirring, you'll use different equipment. When you are shaking the cocktail, you use different methods. When you are blending it, you'll use different methods, as well as when you are building the cocktails. You use glasses or jugs, and I've got an illustration there for you. You can use pourers or blenders, ice scoops, drip trays. This basically just keeps the bar area clean and also ensures that there's no spillage that can cause any accidents, and that will assist the barman quite a lot. Strainers, where you are straining, basically the strainer helps in ensuring that pips of from lemons or grapefruits don't go into the guest drink, because some guests can also choke from it, or some particles that you wouldn't want in your cocktail. You'll be able to strain it from there, and sometimes it also helps to strain because it holds the ice back, and because the drink would have already been cold from all the shaking that you have done. So basically it just helps to strain off any particles or any pips into your cocktails. Shakers. A shaker can also have an inbuilt or a strainer inside it, which also helps a lot. Your knives and chopping boards. This is for when you are chopping your garnish, as well as ensuring that if you are making a fresh fruit juice from apples or any other fruits, you are able to have your cutting board and your knife in your bar area. Stirring equipment, it's your long stirring spoons. When you're making cocktails or mocktails, you also use your disposables as well as garnishes. And I'm going to start off with your garnishes. You can garnish your mocktail depending on the type that you're making with olives. You can use cherries. You can use slices of lemon or oranges. You can use pineapples. You can use quite a wide variety of fruits or vegetables. For example, if you are making a Bloody Mary, you would garnish with some a celery stick. And then your disposables, these are your coasters, which you'll place on top of the counter before you place the cocktail in front of the guest. Your straws, as well as your swizzle sticks. And we spoke about the swizzle sticks when we were looking at built cocktails. Presentation of cocktails. They can be presented in a number of ways, just like we've looked on our previous slide, where you can use your straws, where you can have your swizzle sticks, you can have your olives and your cherries, you can garnish with your pineapples. You can also dip glasses in beaten egg whites or lemon juice, and then roll them up in granulated sugar or powders, which you can call frosting. Um, and your glass will look basically like the illustration above. You can have skewers of fruits that you can skew into a toothpick or a cocktail stick, um, but it has to take the flavor of the drink. And you cannot, for example, use fruits that will contradict the type of drink. So, for example, you can't use pineapples when you are making a Bloody Mary, because a Bloody Mary is concentrated tomato juice. So they will be contrasting. It will clash. The flavors will clash. So you need to really take into account the type of drink before you add any skewer inside the glass. Here's a beautiful illustration here where you've had a very clear drink and you have your straw there, but you've also got skewers of your strawberries, your papaya, your pineapples, your melon, as well as some gooseberries or mulberries. You can also freeze orange or lemon juice in ice trays and use them in the drinks. That will also add a different dimension, very interesting dimension into your mocktail if it does contain lemon or orange. Ice cubes, you can crush the ice or use the ice as it is. The glasses and temperatures for serving non-alcoholic drinks. Long time ago or previously, there were a set type of glasses to use for mocktails, where you would use a martini glass when you're having a martini. But nowadays, life has become so diverse that you can use any type of glass to serve your mocktails or your cocktails. It all depends on the type of establishment, and it depends on the bartender that is preparing the mocktail, just to add that dimension of an interesting dimension, and also a nice visual appeal to the drink. So you can use any glass at present times. The serving temperature, they always serve chilled or very cold. Crushed ice or ice cubes can be added to the chilled drink, and sometimes if it is a shaken cocktail, obviously the ice will not get into the glass, but because you've shaken it with the ice, the different ingredients, it will be very cold. Serving non-alcoholic beverages. You place the ice in the correct glass first, and then you pour the drink, the spirit, then the drink, depending on the type of cocktail, mocktail that you are preparing. You need to garnish each mocktail or cocktail accordingly. The glasses must be chilled before the drink is poured. You would normally find in certain establishments you will have glasses that are sitting in the fridge. So as the guest orders their mocktail or their cocktail, then the glass is removed cold, which is also another term that we looked at previously, which is frosting. All juices and mineral waters must be served cold, so you would not serve the mineral waters and the fruit juices at room temperature. They must be sitting in the fridge. You're serving clear from the right-hand side of the guest. You need to provide clean glasses when the second round of drinks is ordered. Just because the guest has ordered the same drink, for example, if the guest is ordering a margarita or a cosmopolitan, you would have to go and order a new drink from the bar, and the barman must prepare it in a clean glass. You use special trays which have a rubber or a cork layer to prevent the glasses from sliding around. The drinks must be arranged in the order of service on the tray. So as you're taking the order as the waiter, you will then also, when you receive those drinks from the barman, you will place them on your tray in the sequence in which the guests are seated, as well as how you have taken your orders. You will carry the tray to the table. You will hold it on the left-hand side away from the table and serve in that order. The glasses must always be handled by the bases. You must never touch the brim of the glass or the main part of the glass. We also serve tea in the restaurant. Most teas are prepared using tea bags, but there are some cases where you find establishments that are high class or high end, where, for example, they're very popular in serving your high teas, where they would opt for serving tea as tea leaves, loose tea leaves. Now, if that's the case, the waiter must supply strainer, because then the guest cannot be eating the leaves. You have to strain it into the cup, just like you have here. Tea is generally served in a pot so that the guest can serve themselves. As a waiter, you need to place the cup, the saucer, and the teaspoon in front of the customer. The ear of the cup should be in line with the customer's right hand. The waiter then puts on the table the milk, the lemon, the sugar, as well as the sweetness. The teapot is always presented on the table in an underplate because it's quite hot. If the tea bags are used, you need to ensure that the bags are not hanging out, and there should be a small bowl for the used tea bag for the guest to use. When we are serving coffee, the waiter must ask the guests whether they prefer to have their coffee with hot or cold milk. The waiter must then take the cups, the saucers, the teaspoons, the sugar bowls, and the milk to the table and place it on the right-hand side of the guest. The handle of the cup and the teaspoon should point into the direction of the customer's right hand. That will also apply when you are serving your tea. The waiter must ensure that the coffee is hot. They must serve it in an anti-clockwise direction, serving the ladies first, then proceed to the men, and then lastly the host. The guest must be approached from the right-hand side, and they must be asked whether they want it with milk or no milk. Boys and girls, it is very important to control beverage stock, because just like food, it is very, very expensive, and establishments cannot afford to lose out on money. Stock should also not run out, because if the stock runs out, it is a bad image to the establishment if a customer requests a certain drink and they are told that it is not available. Controlling your beverage stock it helps in avoiding overstocking, where you find that you've got stock that is not moving, because that is now wastage. It also prevents theft and alcohol abuse and limits financial loss, because you only have in your stores what you need and not items that have now become redundant. Stock control is a system of minimum and maximum stock levels. An order is placed as soon as the minimum stock levels are reached. This is determined with daily stock taking that occurs by the bartenders on a daily basis. Quality or quantity that is ordered should not be above the maximum stock level to avoid any financial loss or to avoid overstocking. You only order what you will need. The bartender conducts stock-taking procedure where they check all the cupboards and fridges to ensure that all the items are together. You will not put your vodkas separated from the other vodkas, so all the wines will be together, all your spirits will be together, all your cordials will be together, all your squashes will be together, etc., etc. If they are open bottles, they must be placed in front of the sealed bottles. Items are counted according to the stock sheet as well as recorded. You can also use a computerized system to do your stock taking, and that's what you do nowadays, where everything is recorded on a computer, and the computer is able to tell you whether you've got your minimum or your maximum stock. It tells you when to order, and that information information automatically goes into the suppliers, and it also helps when you're receiving your stock that you've ordered, as well as when you are placing it into the different storage areas. Okay, boys and girls, let us look at the types of questions that you can come across in your assessments. The first question is, explain the following terms that are related to drinks. They ask you to explain mocktail as well as squash. Mocktail can be defined as a non-alcoholic cocktail, or you can say virgin drink. A squash is made from fruit juice or syrups, or you can say there's a concentrate that is prepared from sugar and water and other flavorings. And you can also add that it is usually diluted with water, sodas, or lemonade. Distinguish between shaking and stirring a cocktail by referring to the equipment and the method. Tabulate your answer as follows. Shaking, you use a cocktail shaker, or you can say you use two glasses that fit into each other, depending on the type of establishment. When you are stirring a cocktail, you are using a mixing glass, or you are using a swizzle stick, a long spoon, or a parfait spoon. The method used for shaking a cocktail, you shake it for 10 seconds or until it is well mixed. When you're stirring, you stir the mixture with ice, or you stir the liquids to mix well. Explain how the glasses above can be frosted. So that is a term that we looked at. When you are frosting, you use sugar or salt to coat the rim of the glass. You place it in the refrigerator or freezer to be frosted. That could be another option. You can either dip the glasses in beaten egg whites or lemon juice and then dip them into your granulated sugar or powders. So any two of those explanations will award you 2 marks. Explain how you would prepare a built cocktail. So you need to give a step by step. You mix the ingredients in a glass in which it will be served. You then float the ingredients on top of each other and form layers in the glass. You will then place swizzle sticks in the glass to allow the ingredients to mix. Study the equipment and ingredients below and answer the questions that follow. You've got picture A, which is your cocktail shaker, and then in block B, you've got ingredients, sparkling water, syrups, cordials, carbonated drinks, as well as fruit juices. The first question, the bar equipment in A is used to prepare a mocktail. Name the mixing method used. So you need to look at the picture and then you need to explain or identify what type of mixing method can be used using that equipment. Your responses would be shaken, shaking, and straining. Because remember, I explained to you that inside the shaker is a strainer. So you can either just say shaken or shaking and straining. Still on the same pictures, you need to select 2 items from block B that are suitable for the mixing method in question 1.5.1. So from what you've identified in the picture in the previous question, now which ingredients from the second block would be suitable for the picture in block A? So you will then choose syrup, cordials, and fruit juices, because sparkling water and carbonated drinks, we said previously that they are effervescents, so they contain an acid or carbon dioxide. So you will not use a cocktail shaker with them. You would rather stir them, because then it's going to overflow and it's going to spill and make a mess everywhere. During a busy evening in a restaurant, the barman ran out of cordials and syrups and could no longer serve mocktails to the guests. Advise the barman on the proper management of stock on hand in the bar. So let us just go back to the scenario. You run out of cordials and syrups. So now you need to advise the barman on the importance of stock control. That's basically what they expect from your response. The barman must use the first in, first out system, which you learned in grade 11, which means that you need to use your older stock first. We explained that as well, that you need to place all the bottles that look this or that are the same together, and then you place the open bottles in front of the sealed bottles. You need to have a system of minimum and maximum stock levels. You place your order or requisition as soon as your minimum stock level is reached, before your stock runs out, because remember we said that it is a bad image to the establishment if you run out of stock. Daily stock taking is necessary when bartenders change their shifts. A computerized stock control system can also be used, where it will alert you that you have run out of stock. Stock ordering must be done in advance to allow delivery time to prevent stock from running out. A requisition stock from the storeman in advance to prevent shortages during the evening. What they mean here, boys and girls, is that in the bar you have got your stock. But if you run out, so when you reach your minimum levels in your bar, you need to make a requisition, a request from the back store or from the storeroom to get another item that you have now run out of. It does not necessarily mean that you've run out of that item from the whole establishment, but you've run out of that item from the bar. So you need to make sure that your stock, when you do your stock taking, you are able to make any requisition to the storeman to be able to release those items, so that when the guest or when the restaurant is busy and there's a lot of orders, you do not have waiters that are left wondering or left waiting for their drinks, because you are still getting the stuff from the storeroom. So it's all about proper planning. Differentiates between the serving of the wine and the cocktails at the function by referring to the use of trays and the sequence in which the guests are to be served. It's quite a bulky question, but we look at the action verb, which is differentiate. So you need to give a difference between serving wine, which was alcoholic beverages, and cocktails, which can also be alcoholic, but in this case we'll look at the non-alcoholic component of it, and when you're using the trays and how you will serve the guests. And they will ask you to tabulate your answer just to facilitate your responses. When you're serving wine, trays are not required because the glasses are already on the table. But you can also have the wine served on trays if the guest is ordering the wine by glass. With cocktails, cocktails are arranged on or without the trays. Some establishments do not use the trays. The sequence that you would use: with wine, the host first tastes the wine. The waiter then starts with the ladies when they are pouring the wine or serving the wine, ending with the host. The wine is poured in an anti-clockwise direction. Serving of the cocktails, there is no sequence. The waiters walk around between the guests. But we can also add there that you would serve them according to the way that you've taken down the orders. Read the following and answer the questions that follow. Non-alcoholic beverages are to be served at the wedding. Pumi instructed the waiter that ice should not be added to the mineral water unless it is requested. Give 3 reasons for Pumi's instruction to the waiter. Why did Pumi tell the waiter to not serve it with ice, the mineral water, unless it's asked? People prefer the taste of mineral water without ice. Some guests drink mineral water because it is safer than tap water, and if ice is added from the tap water, they will not be happy. If the ice then melts into the mineral water, it will become diluted. Name 2 mixing methods that can be used to prepare non-alcoholic cocktail beverages. Any of those 2, you can either say shaking and stirring and straining, blending, or building. Any 2 will award you 2 marks. Boys and girls, that is the end of our lesson. I hope that you have really learned quite a lot on the whole section of food and beverage service. Please do remember to go into the EC curriculum website where you'll be able to get worksheets on the section that we have done. Thank you so much.